I go live first. Hello, hello.
Yep. Yep. It says we're live.
We are live. My cat is going insane. He's on these new meds for hyperthyroidism,
Oh, okay. How old is
which
he now?
nobody really knows, but he's
Yeah, okay.
around 10.
Okay, yeah.
And he is just screaming throughout the house. That's what he does. Just yelling, I have hyperthyroidism to everyone who will listen. So stop it.
Yeah, it's like when Seven, I think he got stung by a bee. I'm still not quite sure. And he was just like, he was doing things and I thought it was worse than a potential bee sting. But yeah, he didn't know how to deal with it and he needed to show
To
me
let everyone
in
know.
ways
Yeah.
in ways that made me scared. It's like,
Well, the thing with this cat, who I love very much, but the other day he and Otis will sleep in the living room together. Like they're not in the bedroom with me. I mean, sometimes Ralphie comes into the bedroom and wants to like kind of hang out at my feet, but most of the time not. But they'll both sort of walk in at like they'll be like in cahoots, like 6 to 6:30 in the morning. Like they both like you can hear them coming in, and I'm like, I know what you're doing. Get out, And they're like, we are hungry, that kind of thing. But the other morning at like, I mean, it was like 3:45 a.m. And I hear like Ralphie's little tick 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 tick. And I was like, looking at my Apple Watch, which I wear when I sleep. And I was like, and my contacts weren't in. So I was like, what time is it? 3:40? Is it 3:40? No. You're out of here. And he just wailed on me
oh no.
the entire time, just like, why? Why would you do it? So I took him to the vet and I'm like, something is wrong with this cat. And yeah, we're trying to get to the bottom of why he's
Okay.
just like, a crazy kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually when they're bothered by something, they will be super vocal,
Yeah,
so.
right. Because who else is going to help them but me?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's do a show. What do you say?
Do it. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
I will count myself in if you're ready, Amos. I will take that as a yes. All right. In 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Apple Vision Show. It's episode 43, where Eileen Rivera and I talk about all things Apple. I'm Sarah Lane, and hello, Eileen.
Hello, hello, hello. We're a couple days late, but we're here. Hello.
We're here. We're here. Get used to it.
Get
that
used
whole
to
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Happy to be back. Happy to be back, and we got some fun things to talk about.
We do. I think we should probably start with something that is about a week old now. It came from Apple itself, but Apple's App Store Award winners. Now, the company does this every year. Google does this as well. Basically, just what Spotify. I mean, the list goes on. But what Apple considers, the cool apps of the year. And these are broken into a variety of categories. You got iPhone apps, you got iPad apps, you have, Mac apps, you've got an Apple Vision Pro app of the year. That's new. So just going through these real quick, Eileen, I want to get your sense of what you use and what you don't. The Apple iPhone app of the year is Kino. This is a photography app, and this is not something that I have downloaded. And I feel kind of embarrassed about that, to be honest.
Well, why? I mean, I feel like, because I also have not used it, so I'm like, well, I feel embarrassed, Sarah. You're not alone.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If somebody were to, if part of my job were to be like, I need to know what the 2024 best iPhone app of the year is, for iOS, then I would be like, oh man, I haven't even used this. At the same time, I mean, I'm into photography apps for sure. At the same time, I just feel like I still have my my folder of photography apps on my iPhone on my homepage, and at the same
You
time,
do?
I just don't use any of them because the native
Ah.
app is just pretty good.
Totally, totally. Now we got the camera button, and so oh wait, you don't have that yet. But like that's probably why I still, I don't know, haven't needed to. I'm happy with the native app for now.
I also
But
wonder, I wonder how much, I mean, to the point where even on Instagram, right? Instagram
mhm.
was, even though there were other apps that were doing the same thing, it really championed the whole like take a photo, might be lackluster, and then, give it a cool filter, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you look like like you know what you're doing type
Yeah.
thing. that
Mhm.
was that was the whole promise of Instagram back in the day.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
some of the filters on Instagram changed and evolved over time. And now when you take a photo, within the app and are just sort of like, all right, I want to share it. It's sort of like, oh, I mean, yeah, you've got some filters, or you
Yeah.
can, kind of, I don't know, just sort of do some other things to make it more your own. It's more of a like, who do you want to share it with?
Mhm.
And what do you want to call it, and hashtags, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very different experience than it used to be, to the point where I feel like with my iPhone, which is the 15 Pro Max, so
Mhm.
it's not the latest and greatest, but it's still pretty new and pretty cool. I don't really use filters anymore. I
Oh,
mean,
okay. Yeah.
maybe like,
Hashtag no filter for Sarah the whole time.
hashtag no filter. Yeah, like, it's not even like I'm like, oh, I'm just being raw about it. I
Right.
took a photo of Otis the other day, and it was in my living room,
Mhm.
and he looked cute, so of course, and he was sort of backlit. So I
Mm.
went and and I put it on his Instagram page because he
Mhm.
has his own account, and as does Seven. And I was like, oh, he like maybe I can like make it like a little bit brighter, which is totally you can do that within
Mhm.
Instagram now. It's like you don't have to just provide a filter. You can just actually be like, I want brightness to be this much brighter. It's
Mhm.
very much like a native camera app.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it which is I think great, and at the same time it's like I wonder what we're all gonna think about like the first decade of these sorts of apps where everything was just like a cool filter, and
Oh,
everybody was in
right.
a bathing suit, and maybe we're all just evolving.
We looked retro. We looked like, "Oh, I'm actually in the '60s,"
Right,
with
right.
these filters, and, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I do agree, like, the native app, I mean, with every tool that it has now, like cinematic mode and portrait, and then you've got all the different natural light, stage light, studio contour light, like, there's just so many options already, and now that you can, like, take a photo and delete someone in the background that you didn't want to be there. I mean, there's just stuff that it works here. I know that, if you are a real photography pro or enthusiast, you probably want more. So that's why you would have something like Kino, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine for now. It's the way
Well,
it is.
to go through some of the other apps of the year on the iPad side, we've got Moises. This is a music app. I've never used it. I
Mm.
also don't use an iPad
Oh, true.
regularly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not totally the target audience. Aline, I don't know if you're doing some cool beats with
No,
Moises these days.
I'm not doing cool beats, so I'm not the target audience, even though I have an iPad.
Yeah.
But no, this makes a little bit more sense why I would not have this on my, but I don't know, it's free. So,
There you
and
go.
it's free with like, I'm sure there's, you, there's in-app purchases to make it even better, but I don't know, maybe I'll check it out because it's there as the app of the year for the iPad. Might as well.
Indeed. Speaking of apps of the year, on the Mac side, Adobe Lightroom
Mm,
took the top prize.
I know, I'm
Lightroom,
surprised.
yeah, I know, I kind of was too. Not because I don't think Adobe does good stuff. It definitely does. But I haven't really thought about using Lightroom to do, I don't know, my latest couple years of photo manipulation.
Yeah.
I Lightroom, I like Adobe products. I
Yeah.
use Photoshop regularly. I don't use Premiere very much anymore, but I did for quite some time. I mean, I'm into it. But I think what Adobe has done successfully, from what a lot of my friends who use it a lot more than I do say, is make it sort of like, all right, you've got, Eileen and Seven are at the beach and there's like a trash can behind them. Take the trash can out of it. That is something that lots of apps do. And lots of apps promise to do really well, but Adobe is still sort of like that upper echelon, I think, of figuring out how to manipulate photos that doesn't really require you to go into Photoshop, because that's sort of a whole different thing. That's
Yeah.
more of like I'm creating something that doesn't exist.
So it's the Mac app of the year, and I have Lightroom. I have mostly used it though on my iPad and iPhone, not on the Mac itself. So I'm like, oh, it's interesting that it's like, that's why I was confused about being the app of the year. It's because it's been around for a while. Like, was there nothing else to compete? Not, sorry, no offense to Adobe Lightroom, but was there nothing else
It's
that
just
great?
so good,
It's so
Eileen.
good. Well,
It's just so
Amos,
good.
Amos just said that they added more AI to Lightroom to make it more useful. Now, I have not played with that, but perhaps that's what put it over the edge, because AI is the thing, Sarah. So put AI in there, and boom, you've got some keywords, and maybe more people will pay attention to it. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
You just say,
So I
take
don't
the
know.
trash can out.
Yeah, I think whenever I manipulate photos, if I'm not using Photoshop, then yeah, it's all on my iPad. And even then, I try to do Photoshop on my iPad versus on I don't know. It's just the way I use it. So congrats to Lightroom, though. That's good.
Yeah, it is. To round out a few of these on the Apple Vision Pro app of the year, what if an immersive story? This comes from Marvel Studios, ILM, and Immersive, and Disney Plus. This is probably something that I am not the best use case for, Eileen. I'll check it out though, because I want to know if something is truly the biggest app
best.
of the year on the
Yeah.
Vision Pro. It's like, all right, that's something that we definitely have to check out. I'm not so much of I don't even know if it's really a game as much as a story that has to do with cinematic universe that I probably know less about than other people, but I will try it out. That'll be fun. Over on the Apple Watch side, Lumi
Oh, I need to do
is
this. Yeah.
a favorite of folks. This is actually something that I have on my watch, and I kind of forgot about it.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, just
I
I don't
looked
know.
at it and I
I
thought,
think
ooh.
I did like an update, and I just sort of forgot it was there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do like to track, what time is the sunset and sunlight and all
Yeah,
that
of
stuff.
course.
But do I want to pay $6.99 for this? I don't know. Because I get that from the regular weather app on the on the Apple Weather app.
That's
So
that's kind of where I was coming from too. It's
okay.
like I like a good weather app is a good weather app. That's how I used to feel about Dark Sky. I was like, oh, this is the best weather app. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, I
everyone
loved
needs
Dark
to just
Sky.
use this
Yeah.
app. And, things have changed. Apple bought Dark Sky and kind of folded it into something that's a little bit different now. But yeah, so Lumi, for anybody who is not familiar, and if you have an Apple Watch, definitely check it out. Yeah, it's weather focused and very much sort of like minute to minute, I guess, would be a
Yeah.
good way to describe
Well,
what
what's
it's good for.
interesting is that I'm on the App Store right now. It says designed for iPad, but it won for the watch. So kudos to them for designing for the iPad, but also having a amazing watch interface to give it
Indeed.
some, to highlight it amongst all the apps in the store. So,
Well, and there's so many apps that are going to be great on an iPad and not great on a watch because the watch is just too small.
mhm.
For example, sending somebody a Genmoji. I mean,
Mm.
on a watch, like that's just preposterous. You will not see what it is. You'd be
Yeah.
like, is that a tiger? Like, I don't get the joke. That kind of thing. But on an iPad or even an iPhone,
Yeah.
or I don't know, on a Mac, you might have better luck.
Hmm.
But anyway, the Apple 2024 apps of the year, Apple published them themselves. We'll have them on our show notes. But another thing that came to Apple Maps just today,
Mm.
the company announced that Look Around, which is basically Apple's answer to Google's Street View. So if I have an address and I'm like, what does it look like? Maybe I'm about to go on vacation. Like, what does that street look like? Or,
Mhm.
I'm going to see Tom and Eileen and I don't know where they live. Like, let me just
Mhm.
make sure I know kind of where I am. Everybody knows Street View. So Look Around is Apple's version of this. It is much more constrained. Apple has not been in this game as long as Google by a wide margin.
Mhm.
So I have found, and this is funny, Eileen, when I was moving to LA just almost exactly a year ago, just over a year ago, I was, I'd kind of see an apartment and be like, well, what does it look like? Like, what is it? I'm not talking about satellite birds view stuff, although that's also
Mhm.
helpful. But like, what does it just look like if I were to walk up, on the sidewalk type thing? And
Mhm.
I would compare Google Street View to Apple Look Around because in Los Angeles, we're very well mapped here. I know not
Mhm.
everyone is. It's limited, but LA is well mapped, and the Apple view would be way better. It just was
Mm.
like it was obviously newer.
Mhm.
You could tell, like, you're like, oh, that tree's dead. Now that tree has leaves. Okay, this is the newer one. But like it just kind of looked better in general. And I would
Mhm.
get these much better examples of like, oh, okay, if that was my apartment, what, curb appeal, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
I tend to obsess over these sorts of things, even
Mhm.
before I go on vacation, where I'm like, let's just walk down Street View. And then we
Yeah.
know where like the nearest pharmacy is and all that
Well,
stuff.
I mean, I use it for just simply knowing if there's parking. Like, oh, what is this
That
going to be?
too.
Is there parking? Because sometimes you could see the sign in the vendor's window, parking in the back. Okay, good. I know that. Or no, I don't know. Oh, it looks like it's all street parking. Or oh, there's a lot. Okay, that's great. So I use it just so I know where, what I'm up against. Because in California, you're like, am I going to try and find parking? There's a valet, or I don't know. So
Yeah.
I use it a lot for that. And then, as from time to time, I snoop at houses and just, on Redfin, and I'm like, okay, now I want to see where it is on the street. And
Totally.
I've seen some
Yeah.
things where I'm like, ooh, this house is great, but it's on a busy street, and across the street is a bus. Like, oh no, out already out because it's going to be too loud, that kind of thing. So it's helpful to have this kind of viewpoint. And I'm trying to log into it now. I couldn't do it on Chrome, coincidentally, but now I'm in Safari and I could see this mode. So,
You should be able
uh,
to do it in Chrome.
it
I mean,
didn't,
it
right?
is a beta situation. Look,
Yeah.
Apple Maps on the web has been around for a few months, for the better part of the
Hmm.
year. But Look
Hmm.
Around is new.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For some
I,
reason.
I mean, I to this day, just this morning, I was sort of like, all right, let's just like look at like satellite views, Google Maps versus Apple. Like, what do they look
Hmm.
like? Apple's was clearly newer because it was a friend of mine's car that you could see that
Oh,
was
interesting.
only here over the last couple of months. So I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
that was a new drone that took that
Hmm.
photo
Hmm.
while we were sleeping. Who even knows? But Look Around And Street View, again, very similar products. And Street View is leaps and bounds better, just because if you're thinking about it in a global sense, I mean, you can see a lot of the world on Google Street View. Apple Look Around, not so much. I mean, even in the US, only I think it's like 17 cities, and then you've got some cities in the EU, the UK, and beyond. So Apple is doing a lot of catching up, but the photos are better. They are. They are better. Or I don't know. I don't know if better is the right word, but
Clear? They're crisp
They're
kind of
clearer,
thing?
they're crisper, and they're newer. I'm not gonna tell you guys where I live. That's just that's classified. But the front view of my house on both of them on Apple Look Around is like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Google, I was like, I wonder what year they took this.
Oh, interesting. 'Cause
Yeah,
mine,
like that
I just
tree isn't
looked,
even there anymore, kind of thing.
I just looked and mine's the opposite. I'm like,
Really?
oh, we've landscaped the front yard. But I
Mm,
know that on
mm-hmm.
Google it's correct now. And I was shocked when I saw it and I was like, oh, this one's okay. Yeah, this is what it looks like. And I just looked right now because I was like, well, like I'm having a hard time looking at addresses right now. And then I'm like, oh, wait. I mean, that is my car, but that's not our front yard anymore. It used to look like that, but
Yeah, yeah. I know, isn't that funny? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I see when this photo was taken,
yeah.
but it's just, either like, oh, that's quite new, or
Mm-hmm.
things have changed since then.
Changed.
Things have
Well, I'm
changed.
glad it's here, though. I'm glad we have that option.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't look up I don't look up things on Google Street View or Apple Maps Look Around all that often, to be honest. If I were going on vacation, I definitely would. If I were looking for a new apartment, which I hope not to do anytime soon, but it'll happen eventually. That kind of thing. Or even sometimes if I'm going to meet a friend, this happened recently. I was going to meet a friend at a restaurant for brunch, and I just had never been there before, and I'm like, I just want to like see, because I'm gonna drive, and I just want to know what it looks like on the side of the road, so it's super obvious, and then I just park as close as possible. All of that stuff is very, very, very helpful, and I'm sure other people have other
Yeah.
use cases for this. And if you have thoughts on whether or not Google Street View or Apple Look Around are better products, let us know. Feedback at applevisionshow.com. All right, let's take a quick break and then come back and talk a little bit more about visual intelligence. So, Eileen, I'm very jealous. I'm very jealous.
Yeah?
Because with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is a lovely phone, that's my phone, I can't use visual intelligence, but I know that you've been playing around with it.
Okay, so the other night, Seven has since we've given him permission to be on the couch. Anyway, he was knocked out asleep, and I was just playing around. I was like, "Oh, I finally got 18.2." I'm like, "Great, let me just do that." And then I was like, "How? Let me try this visual intelligence situation." I kid you not, like the results look like they all look like Seven. They're like all when I took a picture of Seven and then said, search this dog, they all of the all of them look like him. I'm like, there's so many, and they're all different dogs. I'm like, there's so many dogs that look like my dog. I'm like, oh my
And now,
god.
and just because, for anybody who's sort of like, well, how does this differ from, Image Playground or Genmoji or, other stuff that now some of us with the newer phones can get with iOS 18.2, and features are still rolling out. So this is basically meant to look at a photo, live, right? Like not a photo that's in your camera roll, but
Right.
if you
You
take
take
a
the
photo
photo.
of Seven, Yeah,
Yeah.
and do like the hard press on the camera app,
Mm-hmm.
or the camera button, then it'll be like, oh, I'm going to now tell you what kind of dog you have, type thing.
Yeah,
And that's why you
exactly.
saw all these other dogs that look like him.
Oh my God, so many. And they don't, it's funny when I have to click on more results from Google and then it'll give me, like what kind of dog, but just the photos themselves, it matched what my dog looks like. I mean, there's a couple hound. I'm like, well, he's not a hound, but okay, good try. And I mean, this was the other day. I had to take screenshots of what was on Visual Intelligence because it didn't stay on my phone. But I was just very impressed that it like the visual of what I was looking at was basically duplicated. They found him and probably his many cousins and out there in the world. And so I haven't tried it with anything else. I was more impressed. I was so impressed. I was like, oh, this works. After that, I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Next time I'll take a picture of the plant in my my backyard
Well,
and get more
yeah. Well,
information
so
on it.
and that's the thing is like you already like it's your dog, so you're like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Like I know what my dog looks like. Like, I love my dog no matter what. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, tell me what you think he looks like. But something like a plant or a store. A sign outside a store that might be in a different language. There are, all sorts of use cases
sorts
for
of
this
uses.
that I think that no one has really considered Apple to be a contender for. In the Android universe, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
have
been
all
there.
sorts
It's
of
been
apps.
there. Oh, totally.
Exactly. And yes, you have third-party apps in Apple's App Store as well. But I think Apple Intelligence, it's limping along a little bit as far as wowing me. And I would like to use Visual Intelligence. I just can't until I upgrade to a new phone, and I'm not sure when that's going to happen. But yeah, this is good stuff. This is something where like you could say, you could come over to my house and be like, I just love this lipstick, Sarah.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
looks
yeah.
so
Where did
great.
you get
Let
it?
me just
Yeah,
take a
where-
photo and see, where I can find something similar type of stuff. Like once you get used to doing that, it's pretty cool.
The only sad part about the search results is that I did 50% of it is actually dogs that are at rescue or, at the pound that need homes that look
Yeah.
like Seven.
Well, why don't
So-
you just adopt them?
Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, what's 7 dogs after you have one? Right?
Seven
you just pile them
himself-
in.
It's like having 7 dogs with Seven the dogs right now
Oh.
in his 8-month-old body. So and mine. So I think we're gonna not for a while. So
Yeah, just the one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, knowing that you are animal lovers, we'll see. Let's talk in a year.
okay.
But I'm glad that Seven was able to let you check out
Yeah.
Visual Intelligence, and maybe you have met some of his cousins after all.
I know.
After all.
There they are. I'm like,
There they are.
It was eerie how well they looked like him.
So I want to ask you, Eileen, what in your computer setup, like not a laptop setup, but like if you're sitting at, your desktop in your office, which I think you are right now, do you use a mouse? What do you got going on? Magic keyboard, trackpad? What's the sitch?
It is the Magic Mouse. And I will use my trackpad on my laptop if this is not charged. But the problem is if I'm wanting to charge this, then I can't use it because everybody knows that the cable attachment to charge is on the bottom of the mouse. So you just got to have it inoperable for a while until it charges and use your trackpad. But apparently that's changing, Sarah, which is exciting news. So I could if these headphones, if my Max here runs out, I can just plug it in and still use it. you know?
Of course. Yeah.
But with the mouse, not so it's you can't use it. I love using this thing and I use it all the time and it works well. But it is annoying because I forget to charge half the time. And then all of a sudden I'm like,
Oh,
wait,
I'm
why is this not working? And then but I need to
100% with
use
you.
it. And then I have to use my trackpad, which is fine. But sometimes if I'm editing or whatever, I really just want to use my mouse. I prefer it over using the trackpad. And that is inconvenience that has been going on for years. Years.
You know,
So
it's
they need to
funny.
change it.
Every so often I will come across someone who, because I've got, I mean, at my setup, you know, for anybody watching video, it's like I've got my Magic keyboard and my Magic trackpad, and my trackpad is like my desk has like two tiers. So the trackpad is kind of lower where I actually use my hands more. And if I have to type, it's a little bit too high, but I type way less than I use the trackpad. So it kind of works out for me. And it's like left hand does one thing, right hand does another thing. Now, a mouse, I have not had a mouse since, I don't
Since
know.
forever.
I mean,
Maybe I should
probably
upgrade
worked
to
at
the
Tech TV at the time.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I should upgrade to the trackpad. Like
Well,
the,
and I'm
the
not
one
saying
that
that
you have.
anything is better or worse, because I know a lot of people who are like, no, the mouse is, that makes more sense to me, you know, and especially like ambidextrous people, they're like, you got the mouse on this side or one on this side, and like trackpad is a little bit different. Once I got the trackpad and got used to it, I was like, oh, I'll never use a mouse again.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's, you know, very much personal preference for sure. And there are a lot of third-party mice as well that you could use with Apple products. But yes, I had forgotten that the Magic Mouse, which I've never even had one personally, but I've definitely used one at work here and there. I forgot that the charging port was so annoying. Because, so for example, if, you know, using the trackpad as an example of just like, this is the easiest way to have a mouse without having a mouse, I can plug that in. I mean, sometimes when it's like, oh, we're almost out of batteries, I'm like, all right, let me find the cord, you know, that kind of thing. But then I just plug it in and I keep using it. I don't have to put it upside down. So yes, I think Apple is well overdue for a reboot on all mouse lovers in the world.
They're getting things correct. So this is a minor inconvenience, but thank you for fixing that. And just it made me think about the iPad because I have the iPad that has it on the top of the iPad, but I always hold my iPad landscape. So when I'm doing something, it's like, let's use Face ID. My hand is almost always covering the camera, and it is annoying because I think more people use it landscape than vertical, I'm willing to guess. So that's why they moved it. But like I don't know, maybe sometimes you just don't get it right is what I'm saying. And then they fix it many years later, which is fine as long as they're fixing it.
Well, I mean, this almost feels like, remember a few years ago people were like, is Apple ever going to refresh the Mac Pro? Apple has done all these things. Like the Mac Pro seems to be something that the company no longer cares about. And then it did. It was like, no. We're just doing other iPad things for a while, you know, kind of thing. And I feel like the Magic Mouse, same idea. I don't use one. I don't even know how I would use a mouse. I guess I could.
That's interesting. You've just converted. Yeah.
I just converted, but that was so long ago. And now like when you're talking about like something like editing, it's like, that's where the trackpad makes the most sense to me. And I've got, you know, all my, you know, 2-finger, like we're good. A mouse would just be like, what am I doing? Is it 1994? But
I'm
again,
living in 1994, Sarah. I won't let go.
but again, it's like, that's just me, you know, like I also hold my iPhone weird, you know. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So that's that. Eileen, I wanted to ask you if you have added your driver's license or state ID to Apple Wallet.
So I don't know why I'm reluctant to do this. I don't know why. There's no reason for me to be reluctant. I have a lot of my information digitally in the cloud, and I should do this for ease, I guess, but I haven't done it, and it's not because I'm lazy. It is I have a mental note that maybe I shouldn't do this for
Mm.
whatever reason. It's not rational at all, but I
I
have
mean, if
of
you
course,
were
I've
to
known
be
about this.
irrational, is it because you feel like there would be a breach and somebody would get, sensitive
But
info type thing?
yes, but it doesn't make any sense because I already have, like, my credit card like, there's so much in the cloud. Why is this such a barrier for me? I don't I it is though. I thought about it, this week, and I was like, "Why don't I do this? I can do this right now." I'm like, "I don't know if I want to." I have this pause. I don't know why.
Well, I mean,
And
I
it's
think I
again
think it's good to be cautious about
mm,
anything that really does handle sensitive information, credit card, driver's license, state ID, whatever, what have you, to anything like this.
mm,
I don't fault you for this.
okay.
I don't think that I've done it because I don't travel enough these days to feel
Mm,
like this is going to help me out. If I were
mhm,
to be I mean, a few years ago, basically pre-COVID, I was traveling all the time,
mm,
for work, for
mhm.
fun. I was on a
Yeah,
plane quite often, like anything that can sort of help me get through the airport. Even though I
faster,
know
yeah.
that's not exactly what, Apple Wallet was not made for airports specifically, but that, is a great use case.
Mhm.
That was very important to me. And now I'm kind of like, well, yeah, we'll get there. I mean, I have to go to, the US embassy and get my passport renewed because it's
Okay.
expired. That
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
thing. So it's like that, I think once I kind of get back into that mode, then
Mhm.
Apple Wallet will make a lot of sense for me. However, not everybody feels comfortable with these ways to store your data, and we're
Yeah.
all different.
Yeah. I mean, I have stuff in my Apple Wallet that I don't ever really use, like Alaska mileage plan. Why I don't even fly Alaska, but it's here. I think I just clicked yes. Go ahead, put it in my wallet. Okay. I actually, I'm more of a Delta flyer. I don't have that on here. And it just doesn't make any sense. I need to really think about my organization on my phone, to be honest with you. So,
The Apple Wallet
um,
also, I mean, you're not alone. The
mm.
last time I looked at like everything in my Apple Wallet, I was like, what is all this stuff? It's
Yeah,
like
what are we
boarding
doing?
passes from like however many years ago. Like, why didn't that just go away when the date
Yeah.
expired? Like
I have to
it.
say the only thing that works for me is I have the Sephora card here, so I don't have to try and figure out my membership number, and I get all my points when I go to Sephora. That's the
There
one
you
thing that
go.
works for me consistently.
There you go. I should I
This
should
is
I should
odd.
look into if Ulta, because I've got an Ulta real
Oh,
close by,
okay.
might do the same. Yeah. I mean, that is, listen, airline miles with credit card points, definitely a
Yeah.
thing that I'm doing. Apple Wallet really has no part in this, but yes, I think if you, again, if you have thoughts on here's how the Apple Wallet really will change your life, you
Mhm.
need to add your driver's license or state ID, or I don't know. I guess you can't really add your passport, but stuff for some U.S. citizens, and otherwise. Let us know. Let us know. We'd love to know use cases, because Eileen and I, you know, we're only two people in this world. Navigating this Apple world that we're
Yes.
doing. All right, so Eileen, I wanted to tell you real quick. I will
Mm.
not go on and on about this, but
Okay.
so 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 Apple News,
Yeah.
News Plus, which
Mm.
is not free,
Mhm.
$13 a month.
Mhm.
I had, when I bought, I guess it was my latest iPhone. I was, once I set it up, I was gifted 3 months of Apple News Plus for free. And I was like,
Oh.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Apple One, which is like the bundled version of the stuff,
Right. Yeah.
doesn't really make sense for me. Even though we've talked about it in the past, like the more I looked into it, the more I'm like, Well, I already get Apple Music for free through my plan with Verizon, which is just, that's cool. And I don't care about Apple Arcade and Apple TV Plus. Most of the stuff, like, I watch through like other people's Plex servers. So I'm, I kind of, I just want the news. Anyway, so I had that. It was great. Then started charging me, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. But then recently, and this was like a year ago, and then recently I was like, you know what? I think I want to get back on the News Plus train. So I, okay, I'll pay for it. And I did that for a couple of months. Then I bought my Mac Mini, my new Mac Mini. And weirdly enough, on the Mac, if you go into settings, and like, what I'm signed in with, iCloud, didn't say anything. But on my phone, it was like, well, you now have, because of your recent purchase, you have, 3 months of Apple Arcade, 3 months of Apple News Plus, 3 months of Apple Music, 3 months of Apple TV Plus, and so I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cancel Apple News Plus, which I actually am paying for, and then just accept the 3 months. Because that's what you're giving me.
Yeah.
So I did that, and Apple was like, "No, you're still a member." And I was like, "Yeah, well, okay." And that was a few, look, this is almost a month ago now, where I'm like, "Oh, it has to like figure out like the end of the, the cycle of
the
what
billing
I was
cycle.
still."
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so then it got to the point where Apple News Plus was like, "You're not a member anymore," and so I was like, So I went back to my iPhone and I was like, 3 months. And it just charged me for the month and said, yeah, your next billing cycle is, January 17th.
It didn't give you the free. Is there like a fine line that's like first time users only kind of thing?
Well, they should say that.
Right.
They should very much say that. So I wrote Apple.
Okay.
This is me. This is Karen Hat happening. So I wrote Apple and I was like, here's the sitch. I was a member and then I canceled, and then you said I got 3 months free, but when I tried to cash in on that, you said, no, we're just charging you again. So I got an email back from Apple today, and they were like, you're right. You've been reimbursed for the month of January or December, whatever it was that I was charged for. And we will not charge you until, March 17th. And I was like, all right,
all right,
okay.
Customer service works.
Customer service. Yeah. And like, listen, I know this is not like $1,500 type thing, but I was like, if you offer me something for free, I'm going to use that. And so if I try to use that and then you just charge me in a different way, I'm like, well, that wasn't the deal we had. So anyway, I win, and I will continue charging myself for News Plus once my 3 months free runs out. But they give you 3 months free, and I bought the Mac Mini, which was also not free. So come on, man, throw me a bone.
Every little bit counts these days, right? So let that be a lesson to everybody. If you don't try, if you don't ask, you don't know. You
gotta ask. Gotta ask. Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Apple would say, no. It's not like I'm going to like get rid of all my Apple products. I'd be like, oh man, well, I tried, but it worked out.
It doesn't hurt. Just send a little email and you got,
Yep. And Apple tech support, I will say, as far as tech support goes, you might not get the answer that you want, but they're pretty easy to get a hold of, and I've had pretty good results from them. All right, let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about foldable iPads. So, Eileen, as we've talked about, I don't currently use an iPad regularly. I either use my iPhone or I use my MacBook Air. just kind of around the house.
Yeah.
The MacBook Air is, I mean, it's not iPad small, but it's so light that I never really feel like it's like some bulky
Yeah.
thing that I'm using. But what would you think about having a foldable iPad?
Well, what's interesting, well, first of all, I usually have my iPad on me and I left it in the living room, so I can't like hold it up right now. I always have it like close by, almost like my phone. But the way I was reading, we've been talking about foldables for a while, ever since the show started, right?
Yeah.
And the way I'm reading this is that they're talking about it potentially being the size of two iPad Pros. So it's
Which
like
is
having a
large.
which yeah, it's like I'm literally looking at my laptop. That is one iPad and another iPad, just So how much more different? I mean, it is the experience, I guess. If there's people out there who just want the iPad OS experience, they don't need the laptop experience, they want bigger and more, then maybe that's for them. I'm happy right now with what I have. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't need more. And, I've mentioned before, I have the Samsung, Flip 5. And for a phone, I see that as more valuable because it's pocket size now, right?
Yeah.
As a foldable versus an iPad, because then why would I not just get a MacBook Air? And but again, if someone's like, but I like the iPad OS, and so having a foldable iPad would be better than getting a laptop, then yeah, I think it's just for two different categories, two different audiences.
Totally. Yeah.
Not for me, but maybe for artists, this would be great, to be able to see, like, if they're doing something poster size, they could see it longer without it being on a smaller screen. That could be more
Yeah, and if
helpful,
you're doing something Apple Pencil-esque where, for me, I'm like, if I don't have a keyboard, and I know that you can
Yeah.
attach a keyboard to an iPad, and there are quite a few options there, but it's like, if I don't have a keyboard, I really can't work. People being like, oh, I just like work on my iPad. It's like, I can work on my iPad until I have to type. And then it's like, I need a keyboard. I need like a setup. I don't necessarily need like my home desk setup. I can be a little bit, versatile, but otherwise that's the number one thing for me. But for somebody like Scott Johnson, for example.
Exactly. I
Friend
think
of
of
the
him
show.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great example of someone who's like, this would be awesome. I could, be doing something on one side, doing something on the other side, doing my Apple Pencil stuff. This, by the way, for anybody being like, ooh, foldable iPad, this is not rumored to be happening anytime soon. I mean, we're just nearing the end of 2024, and this is something that Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, who, has great Apple rumors, but he even says this is looking like 2028. So it's like something that Apple looks to be looking at down the horizon. And a foldable iPhone has been in the rumor mill for a while, rumored to not be happening next year, maybe something like 2026 at the earliest. I really wonder, though, even though from the foldable phones that I've seen, which, I mean, honestly, I've seen a few of them at CES, and I've seen a few of them that people actually have, and use. Yourself included. It's like, well, okay. I mean, cool. They look cool. They seem cool. But is that something that is solving a problem that I have right now? And my answer is no.
I think when you are able to, well, it just depends on how it's set up. Like what I like about it is for video and for photography, because you can just set it up and leave. Like you don't need anybody's help. You can even do this like a camcorder and record, right? And to have your window being, show up on this side of the screen. So it's helpful for like photography, I think, and video. But at the same time, like I have the 5. And that camera was not as good as which was the Galaxy, with the unfoldable version. The name escapes me right now, but the camera wasn't as good. So
I know. I'm
then
like,
you give up
what's the
quality.
Galaxy that's not the folds? That other one.
The other one that everybody has.
Right.
Anyway, that one has the more superior camera. It always does. But then, like, this is the one, and I think it has to do with just the manufacturing and the phone itself, the hardware. I know they've upgraded it with the 6 too, so it's better. But you do sacrifice that as well. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's use cases for it. And it is like, it's just easier to just carry around too. So
Yeah.
it is not my primary phone, but when I do have it on me, I'm like, oh, it's just so easy because it's just super small and definitely fits in my purse.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, gosh, whenever the iPhone Pro Max, I don't even know if it was called the Max at that point, but I think this was like the 6 Pro was the first, like the big phone that, we still have now, even though the 16 is actually the biggest phone. But, like the biggest phone, I was like, I want the biggest phone. And I initially was like, too big, can't type with one hand, not happening. Doesn't fit in any of my purses. Like, what have I done? But I got used to it after a while, and I was like, no, I like the bigger screen, and this is just the phone that I rock. Now, when I see other people's smaller phones, I'm just like, do you not want the bigger phone? And they're like, no, I don't. I appreciate the smaller phone. And I'm like, I want the bigger phone. But that's also because I don't have, I think
An
a big reason
iPad
about
or-
that.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have an iPad that I'm using regularly. I've got the the Mac Mini that I'm powering to use this right now, and then I've got my MacBook Air that is, I mean, I take that thing everywhere. I mean, it's not gonna fit in like a small little, clutch purse, but you can throw that in a tote, no problem. Like it's not heavy. It's so easy to carry, all that stuff. But the idea of, going back to that first moment where I was like, this phone is too big. Oh no. I've made a terrible mistake. It won't fit in any of my pockets. The idea that you could fold it and still have that phone and that size, that and everything that I want right now and I don't want to give up, that is cool.
Yeah.
If I could do that and I did not have to skimp on anything else that was part of, the experience, 100%, I want that phone.
And I know Apple will probably do its best to not have this be a factor, but I don't find the crease in the middle an issue. I really don't when I'm using the phone and watching videos or anything like that. So just FYI, I don't think it's an issue, but I know Apple will probably do its best to just not even have a crease, but there is a crease. And it's the S series, Galaxy S series. They're on 24 right now, but I was just like, what?
Oh, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
the S, and then there's the Fold, but that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the S series because that's the one that
I
usually
mean,
has
so
the
are you
awesome-
saying that you don't see a crease or you just don't care about the crease?
I see it, but it kind of goes away. Like after a while,
don't
after
care,
using,
yeah.
I don't care. Like I do see it. Like right now, especially when there's nothing on the screen. If it's just black, of course I see it. But actually now I'm looking at it. I don't see it. You can kind of
I
see it
don't-
if I tilt.
I
You
mean,
see it? You
kind
tilt?
of. Yeah.
But it's not. It's not. I really don't think it's a problem to me. I don't have any.
It's kind of the way I feel about the notch. Like there's so many people who are like, we got to get rid of bezels and the notch, and I'm like, is the notch like a huge problem for you? Like I don't.
I like it actually. I like
I'm
seeing
like,
the little icons on there.
I see the time of day.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
well-
I get the idea of having something that's just like so pristine, right? It's like you've got no bezel, no notch. The camera sensors on the back don't stick out. It's like we're not gonna be there for a while, and I don't care. Like it does not.
Yeah.
It's never bothered me.
I also I think it's useful. Like I know for sure when I click on when I'm not using my headphones, but I put them in, I can see, oh, the notch tells me it connected right away. I don't have to like double
Yeah,
check,
right.
go to settings, try and find that. If I, am doing something and I wanted to look at the map or whatever, and I'm stopped at a stoplight and maybe I'm looking at something, I'm looking at my text messages really quick, I can just go click on the notch and I'm back into the map, no problem when I'm ready to drive again. So I don't know. There's just stuff I can see the weather sometimes and I can see what I'm
Yeah,
listening to. I mean, the
yeah.
icon for the song I'm listening to is quite almost way too small. Like, I don't think you can really see that, but whatever. I know it's like, okay, I minimize Spotify and that's the song I'm listening to in so small square, but I don't know. I like it. I'm
I
fine. I'm used to it
agree.
now.
I agree. It's one of those things where I think someone's going to be like, "No, I want, my screen to just be I don't want anything to obfuscate what I'm looking at on my screen. That is my choice."
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
notch for some people is sort of like, well, when you get rid of the notch, then you really have a product, and I'm just like, well, I don't care, but if you care, then I care
Yeah.
for you.
Yes.
Then that's we're again going back to the theme of we're all a little different.
Yes.
Not everybody wants the exact same thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, talking about hanging out, watching stuff on Apple TV Plus, Eileen, we've got Carpool Karaoke Christmas apparently coming to Apple TV. This is not a series. I know what it is. This
Hmm.
is not a series I watch all that often, but
Hmm.
I can imagine that it will bring some people joy over this holiday season.
Well, I did watch it when James Corden was on air, but I only watched it on YouTube, and I only watched it when it was an artist that I really wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And having Zane Lowe host, because they also, when Corden was on the air, they actually had Carpool Karaoke without him on Apple. I guess Apple Music or Apple TV, and I didn't watch those because he wasn't on them. I think there's a special reason why I watched it originally with the host of who created the series, because it just, I don't know, it felt right. And
Yeah.
there's a teaser we're showing. I think he's just in the teaser handing it off. Zane Lowe is one of the DJ anchors on Apple Music, and
Yeah,
you've
he's been
probably
around
heard
for a
listen.
while.
Yeah, and so he's hosting this, which is fine. Like, he'll get along with the artists. He always does in his interviews, and now you can just see him let loose. But I maybe I'll watch it because Lady Gaga will be on it. I might want to watch that one, or maybe Dua Lipa. So we'll see. But I did enjoy Carpool Karaoke back in the day. That's actually one of the ways I discovered BTS. So I very much appreciate that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I knew
interesting.
about them already, but when I saw them on Carpool Karaoke, I was like, "Oh my
I was
god,
like,
these guys are
okay, yeah,
great."
this is this
I
is.
got, yeah, this is good stuff. I got to look into them more.
All
So,
right. So before we get out of here, this is the fun one. Comes from Tim Apple himself. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim Cook. I'm sorry, I always get that wrong. That he posted on this is on X that Silo, the series that you like a lot, Eileen,
yeah.
is not only coming back for a third season, but they have renewed it for a fourth as well.
Like
So this
the
is going to be a show for a
CEO,
while.
the CEO of the company, of the larger company, not even, I'm sure there's like, a head of Apple TV. Tim Cook is the one making the announcement. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, because that's how I found out. I found out through his post on X. I didn't find out through Apple TV or Hollywood Reporter or whatever
I
else I
didn't
might find
either.
out.
I
I
mean,
found out from Tim
I'm
Cook.
sure
I'm like,
somebody else wrote
so
about it, but yeah, this
I'm
is
like,
literally a tweet that I saw.
so now he's announcing renewals. Now, which fine, he's the CEO of the entire company. I just thought that was odd. I was like, I learned about this from the CEO of the company, not in a presentation like they were having an Apple event or whatever, on
Yeah.
X.
I mean,
just
I
seems
don't even
weird.
know. I mean, remember when, after Ted Lasso had its like triumphant first season, right? Where everyone was just
Mhm.
like, oh my God, best show ever, that sort of thing. I remember that it was a pretty prominent part of whatever Apple was announcing that following year. It was like they were pushing Apple TV Plus, and Ted Lasso, and
Mhm.
that was something that was brought up a bit, and I was like, that makes sense because they're still trying to sort of prove themselves in a world of Netflix and HBO Max and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's a little funny that, I mean, you haven't heard about the show. If you watch the show, then you know it and it's a good show. But it's
Uh-huh.
not like the company has been pushing the show from
Exactly.
kind of like the absolute top exec kind of stuff.
Yeah. In
So for
fact, you
Tim Cook
know,
to just be like, "Well, I'm excited about this," it's sort of like, "Well, I am too," but
I mean,
like who's in the production part of this
well, that's the thing. Like,
this
I've read
situation?
articles complaining that, a lot of people are not discovering Apple TV amazing shows because the marketing is so bad. They're not putting enough money into the marketing. So I guess basically they're like, "We'll just give it to Tim Cook. He'll be he'll be the marketing CEO, PR. He'll do it
I
all
mean,
for us."
we're talking about it right now, so I mean, I guess
Yeah,
the
it's
marketing
working, maybe?
worked,
They're
but
not paying him anymore. They're
yeah.
like, "Oh no, he's part of the he's just well, he's already getting paid." So,
Yeah,
um
I mean, we talked about this. I think it was a few episodes ago where, the going theory was like because Apple is hemorrhaging money on
mhm.
paying for really high quality productions, but not with the viewership that it needs to have to be able to sustain that. They're going to be pulling back on budgets and, renewing series. So,
Mhm.
and that may be 100% true. I mean, and it's true that Apple TV Plus does not have the kind of numbers that some of its competitors have. At the
Mhm.
same time, Apple is likes to do things different.
They do.
And I think if you have a few, I mean, Apple TV Plus has had some really great shows.
They
You
have.
know,
They really have. And I
yeah.
hear people like snark about it, but I've never seen it or whatever. I'm like, "Ugh, well, you
Well, it's
should."
like if you don't watch a show, you don't watch a show, right? It's
Yeah,
like, I mean, there are lots of shows that people say, I can't, Sarah, I can't believe you haven't seen that show. And I'm like,
I know.
I'll get to it or I won't. I
Yeah.
don't know. There are too many shows.
Mhm.
Like I'm just gonna pick and choose the ones that I
Mhm.
want. For example, Severance. I talk about this all the
Mhm.
time. Can't
Yeah.
wait for it to come back. So excited. One of my favorite shows I've ever seen,
Mhm.
which is an Apple TV Plus show. Silo, I have to come back to that. And
Mhm.
apparently now I've got 4 seasons. So awesome. Now I feel like to invest in it makes even more sense because I know
Mhm.
I'm gonna have a lot of content for a while.
Yeah. I, for one, am very excited. Thank you, Tim, for letting me know that there's a 3 and 4th season. So, let's go. I've got 2 more years of Silo at the very least. So, very excited. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. I'm like, I don't even know how they're going to finish season 2. Like season 2 I feel like we'll finish and we would like it's barely scratching the surface of answering any question. So I'm like, okay, what's happening? Yeah, we need a 3 and a 4. I'm like, we
It's
do
like
need
Lost
more.
all over again, where you're like, okay,
It is
wow.
little bit of the mystery of the hatch. They're underneath, right? The mystery of the silos, a little bit of that. But if you haven't seen it, it really is a very interesting show and Tim Robbins. And you
Tim
know who else is
Robbins.
in there that's doing really well? Common. Common is an actor
Mm-hmm.
now. At least he's got that side gig. I'm worried for him. I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm worried for Common. That's
You're,
it.
you're worried for his character.
His character, yes. I
Yeah,
don't know his
yeah.
character's name off the top of
I
my head.
think
I
I
never
think
know their
Common as
names.
the actor is doing just great.
He's
Yeah.
doing great, but his character, oh, are you part of season 3 and 4, Common? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at
Mm.
that.
Well, we won't spoil anything for any of you who are, not in the Silo universe yet, and we don't want to spoil anything ever.
No.
But if you do have thoughts on this, and I know many of you do, because you watch a lot of the same stuff that Eileen and I talk about, do send us feedback. Feedback at applevisionshow.com is where to send that email. We really appreciate it in advance. We're going to go ahead and wrap up episode 43 of Apple Vision Show. Fun as ever, Eileen.
Yes.
I hope Seven behaves himself tonight. And, whether he's on the couch or, somewhere else,
Yes.
as long as he just, it's puppy love.
It's puppy love. I know. I do forgive him for some craziness because he doesn't know. He barely knows the world, Sarah. He's never really seen it rain yet. Like there was a little bit of rain some point, in like October, whatever. He's never seen rain and he's never heard thunder. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. How's that going to happen? Because we're coming into the rainy season, January, February. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes.
It's true. As we're talking about this, of course, Otis the dog is like, excuse. Somehow he knows. Somehow he knows. Where he's like, I'm the baby. I'm the best. I am the dog. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to rainy season either, even though we're in LA. Everyone, yes,
it doesn't last
It doesn't
long.
rain that much in LA, but it does. And
when it rains,
does,
it's heavy.
Having a
and
big old smelly dog that's wet is, not the best.
exactly.
It just isn't the best.
yeah.
Although I'm
Trying to
sure
give-
Seven smells like rainbows and unicorns.
Oh, he's not bad. His dander's not bad. Yeah. We've had stinky dogs in the past, but he's so far so good.
Well, on that note, hope everybody's dogs aren't too stinky, and we will see you, next week.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, enjoy life.
Stinky dogs.
As soon as I said that, I was like, "Oh wait, next week is Christmas week."
I know.
We didn't talk about this. I mean, we can
didn't,
do
yeah.
a show on Monday.
Yeah, but there
I'm not
won't be
going out of
anything
town.
though. There won't be anything going on. What do you guys think?
There won't be anything going on.
There will
but
be so
you
quiet.
never know.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know. We'll give it a beat maybe and think
Ralphie.
about it.
Give it a rest.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Complaining?
Oh, Ralphie, he's being insane. But when we're at 4:17 Pacific time right now. Anything between like 3:45 and 5 p.m. He just starts screaming because he knows it's dinner time pretty soon.
Oh, what time is dinner for Ralphie?
3:45 is not his dinner time.
I was
It's
going to say
somewhere
wow, it's
between
early.
5 and 6. But
Okay.
he knows early.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
great.
well, they always their inner clock is like, well, I know when it is, but I'm going to ask for it early anyway.
For the
because-
record, my kids start screaming about 5:30 because they know dinner's coming at 6. So it's not different.
Me. Yeah,
It's not different.
It's not. No, it
Okay.
really isn't.
It's just a matter of scale. It's the same troubles.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Nothing changes.
Yeah. No, this is, very TMI, but Ralphie had to go to the vet yesterday. He's just getting older,
Yeah.
kind of old cat stuff. And he does not travel well, but my vet is not far from me. I mean, it's
Oh, that's good.
10 minutes. I mean, it was,
Yeah,
it
same
was
for me,
ki-
yeah.
It was kind of crappy on the way back because we hit some traffic just time of day. But right now, if I were to, anyway, 10 minutes on a good day. And, so he's in his crate in the passenger seat and screaming. And I'm like, no. Sometimes I'd let him out, and I let him kind of like hang out on my lap while I drive. But that's, I know that's not safe for either of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So I was like, no, we don't have far to go. You stay in that crate. Well, guess what Ralphie did?
What did he do?
Explosive diarrhea
Oh no.
in the crate
On the way to
Well-
the vet.
on the way to the vet.
See, well, that's good that you had the crate instead of.
It was, except that, I'm sort of like, I
know.
walk in and I'm like, we've had a terrible accident. And they're
Yeah,
like,
I know.
oh God, and everyone's sort of like, covering their mouths.
Oh no.
Yeah. So like we got him out and like he had to be hosed down. The crate had to be hosed down. The blanket I had, I was like, just throw it out. I never want to see it again. Just get it, not even worth it.
No soft goods saved.
Yep. And yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And everyone, of course, they're a vet, so they're like, it's
Yeah, I know.
okay. It
I
happens.
know they're
and I'm
always
like,
so nice, right? I'm like,
But you also know they're all telling their spouses at dinner that night.
yeah,
would not
that,
believe
like,
I had the-
that, like
I had the
Sarah brought
greatest
in
Tuesday
like this
going.
absolute like grenade.
Yeah.
know?
I had the greatest Tuesday going, and then right at the last minute, this lady
I had to
brought in her
hose
cat.
down this cat's like diarrhea. Yeah. Yeah. And poor Ralphie was just sort of like, because we had to, basically give him a bath, and he was just sort of like, I hate it. Why am I here? And I was just like, oh, being a parent. Sometimes.
yeah. Yeah.
Again, not much different. There's been times.
right. Amos is like kids, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of the same. Yeah.
They do that.
Might even
I
be
had-
Do
worse.
that.
I had a daughter that had blowouts every time we took a road trip anywhere.
Oh no.
Strap in her car seat, and the diaper wouldn't hold. Didn't matter. So, yeah, not much different.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No.
anyway, Ralphie's got
Yeah,
he
okay.
has stop it up meds.
Yes. Yes.
And we will monitor the sitch.
Oh, poor thing.
I know.
Poor thing.
I know.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
I mean-
I didn't even tell you the best part. The
Oh.
best part is after this whole thing, because Otis had to stay home. He didn't have to. I mean, he could have been in the car and just stayed in the car, but I was just like, you get nothing out of it. Just stay home. We'll be back soon. I get back home and a cupboard has been opened and quite a few snacks have been eaten and one of my stove burners was on.
Oh no. You
Because
thought he had
Otis was
passed
just sort
that.
of like,
Oh.
he was like, they're gone. Let's see what I can get. Yeah, he almost burned the house down.
So now you know the value of Ralphie being in the house, keeping check on Otis.
Yeah.
You can just see that cartoon. Otis is trying to get on the counter, and Ralphie's just smacking away. No touching the stove. No touching the stove. No touching the stove.
I mean, the thing with the stove, I was like, okay. I mean, if you eat snacks that you're not supposed to eat, I mean, you're in trouble. But like, you can't burn down the house. You can't do that. So we're gonna have to pull the things off the stove when I leave him home.
Oh man, that's just an extra thing for you to think about, right? You're like,
Right. Yeah. And I'm gonna forget. And
yeah,
yeah.
and then you'll be somewhere and you'll be like, I forgot to do that. Oh my god,
Right. It's like, did I not lock the door? Did I leave the stove on? Well, if I left the dog in there with the stove, he might
possible.
turn it on and just try to make some food and burn the house down. Yeah.
Yeah, Otis thinks he's what, a chef. He's decided. He is like, oh no, I'm a gourmet chef. I can pull
He's
stuff.
very, I mean, he's great. I mean, he really, I don't know where you are, buddy. He's a great dog, but he does not like being alone.
Yeah.
I try to do it regularly, just to be like, you have to get used to it. I'm not going to be gone all day, just for an hour or two. I'm going to the grocery store. You're not coming. That kind of stuff. But every so often, like, I get him on a bad day, and then I get home and I'm like, wow, the whole trash can has been, just
Yep.
yeah, it's like an art piece. Like, cool, thanks for that. I guess we need child-proof things.
I think, just yeah, just like people, they have their days,
They do.
They have
They
their
do.
days. Sometimes, we wake up and we're like, oh, Seven's in a mood. Okay, he's that today. Yeah. Just watch out. He's going to cause some trouble. There he is. Yesterday was great. Today he's biting the blankets. What not to, what is this? You know not to do this, but you're biting the blanket. Okay. Let's yeah, that's what today is. Biting the blankets. Okay.
Yeah.
He
Otis
did
has a
that this
thing
morning.
where Ralphie has a kitty bed, and it kind of is like in like a little cubby, where Ralphie's in there sometimes, not every day, but it's his bed. And Otis will, like, if he's like if I like scold him for something, he'll be like, I'm gonna get his kitty bed, and it'll just be like,
Wow.
"Rrr." And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing
Wow.
that? What is wrong with you? And then he'll be like, sorry. Hi.
Yeah, yeah, Seven likes tags on his toys. He goes for that first, and then it rips open. He's just into the tags, so he's looking for the tag on the blanket, but then end up biting the whole blanket. And you're like, great. No.
Oh,
No,
Otis
dude.
out. No, he's jealous because I'm holding the cat.
Oh.
Being a single parent, never do it.
Just like kids.
Amos is like, you have no idea what I've been through in life.
These are all. He's like, these sound so familiar, guys. Like,
Truly.
let me tell
So-
you. Let me tell you.
Again, just a matter of degree.
All right. Well,
Should we say goodbye to the stream real quick?
Yep.
goodbye
Bye,
to the stream.
guys.
Thanks for listening to my cat poop story. I hope the better for all of you.
And with that, goodbye.
Bye, stream.
And with that, goodbye.